Welcome to my channel. With the Montreal Canadiens preseason wrapping up tonight against the Senators, I thought that I would go over some of my thoughts about the Montreal Canadiens because if you don't know, I'm a big fan of the Montreal Canadiens, and so I have a lot of thoughts, I have a lot of opinions. However, I was able to narrow it down to just 5, so this video isn't an hour long. And so, without further ado, let's get into my first thought about the Montreal Canadiens preseason. First is that Florian Jacki is more NHL ready than a lot of people thought he would be. He is still with the team. He may or may not make the team. There's been a lot of discussion if he should. There's a few guys ahead of him in the depth chart. However, he has been making a case and possibly has jumped a few, or at least one person, to get a starting role on this team. Florian Jacki is the younger brother of Arber Jacki, who is a defenseman for the Montreal Canadiens right now. And I mean, yes, it would be amazing if you look outside of the hockey sense, if you just look at the story and the family side, this would be amazing for them. However, if we look at the hockey side, it's a little bit complicated to know if he's actually going to make the team. However, I think he has been a revelation for a lot of Montreal Canadiens fans. Like, we all knew about him. We all knew that he was in the system. We all knew that he was the brother of Arber Jacki. However, I don't think a lot of people knew how good he could be. And so, with him still being young, it probably, like, if he would be scratched every few games or for a period of games, I don't think that would bode well for his development. And so, regardless of if you think he should or shouldn't make the team, I think a lot of people have realized just how good he is and just how promising he is, and maybe he is worth more than the 4th round pick that the Montreal Canadiens used to get him. On the topic of the roster, we still don't know what the lines are going to be like. The only line that is kind of submitted itself and is kind of set in stone is the top line of Slavkovsky and Caulfield being centered by Nick Suzuki. And I think that there is probably a 98% approval rating of that line. And so I don't see any reason to break it up. However, the bottom 9 has been scrambled around throughout the preseason. And yes, you can't put too much value into preseason for line combinations and how the team's gonna do. However, what you can put some value in is how each player is used and how each player has been tested. And so that second line is going to have Demidov on it. It's just a matter of fact of if Doc is actually going to be centering that line. From the looks of it, he will be. And then who's going to be on that left wing? Is it going to be Line A? Is it going to be Bolduc? Is, I don't know, Josh Anderson going to be it? I doubted that. I don't want that in. But it is still up in the air. And then for that bottom line, is Joe Veleno going to be in? Is Oliver Kapanen going to make it? Just talked about him, Florian Jacki. And is Joshua Waugh gonna make it? Where's Gallagher gonna be? There's a lot of unknowns. I did make my prediction for what the roster is going to look like earlier this summer. And I had Veleno, I do believe, on that bottom line centering it. And I had Gallagher and Anderson on that bottom line. And also Belay. Is he going to be able to be the Pizzetta, or is he going to be put on waivers and potentially they lose him? So it is still very much up in the air, and we will have to see what Marty St. Louis and his coaching staff do, who gets cut. I think they have 4 or 5 cuts left to make on the forward side of things. I didn't even talk about the defense. The defense is a whole other situation where Struble and Arbor Jacki, both showed that they should be in the lineup and they are very valuable. However, there isn't enough space for both of them because you have Carrier, you have Dobson, you have Gooley, you have Hudson, you have Matheson, and there's another person I'm probably forgetting, but as I said, we'll have to see what Marty St. Louis and his coaching staff deem this lineup is going to be. The only thing that is really kind of set in stone right now is the goaltending. Starting is Montembeault. Backup is Jakub Dobish. And so that is like the one clearest thing about this whole lineup. And yeah, we're going to have to see what the guys in front of them are going to be like. Now, one thing I have noticed throughout this preseason for the Montreal Canadiens is that they are tougher. They are more united, for a lack of a better term, and they have a pack mentality. And Marty St. Louis said it himself, that if you knock one of our guys down, we're going to come back at you equally or more hard. And so I think that with this team, with not necessarily the additions that they've made, but with the development of some other guys in Arbor Jacki, Drayden Struble, and Josh Anderson and Brendan Gallagher. I mean, Anderson and Gallagher have always been tough. But I think with the first two guys, Arbor Jacki and Drayden Struble, they have shown that they can be tough while also being good with the puck. And if there's been one thing I've noticed about Arbor Jacki from last season to this season, just in preseason, but is that he's better with playing actual hockey and not playing the game of physicality. And Drayden Struble he's shown flashes of it last year, but I think he was like the reverse of Jacki, where he was good with the puck, but then when it came to the physical side, he was not as great. And so we have seen that this team is willing to stick up for their teammates. And that is going to be crucial for this team going forward, because they have young guys like Lane Hudson, Ivan Demidov, and their top line, yes, they're a little bit older, but they're still young in hockey terms. And so it is nice to see that we'll have people who will stand up to anyone who tries to bully them. And I think that with Lane Hudson and Ivan Demidov especially, they need to be with guys that are kind of going to be a little bit of a bodyguard for them. So if that means Demidov with like Anderson, I don't think that that's going to happen. But someone like Anderson, I think that this Canadiens team will be in a great spot because it's a deterrence. So they can do what they want while also not get Paul Korea in the middle of the ice. And with that, I think that this team will be pretty dang good this year. Going off of what I just said, I think that this team is going to be on the same level as last year. However, I think they're just going to be a little bit better. I think they're going to be in the same level as in where they're going to finish. However, I think that they're going to be stronger in their team play and in their production. That top line is going, they get a year older, they get another year of development. I know that they're full-time NHLers, however, development happens throughout your career. And so with them getting another year of development and them finding another gear, I do believe that this team is poised right now to be a very competitive team. And they're going to be in the mix and they're going to make playoffs. That is one of my thoughts, is that they're going to make playoffs. And this team is looking exciting. This team is looking like Quebec may be the hottest place in town to watch some hockey this year. And so that is my thoughts. It's kind of like 4.5, but let me know what you think about the Montreal Canadiens down in the comment section. Do you think that all my thoughts are valid? Do you think I'm crazy? And make sure you like the video and subscribe to my channel so YouTube knows that you like this kind of content. And I will see you in the next one.